Raskin, how do you intend to ensure that the proposed TPP does not adversely impact climate and other environmental progress, past and future?
So, I think Anna spoke very eloquently about this and has been a big champion on this for a long time. Look, I think everybody read Adam Smith, and everybody understands the principle of comparative advantage in free trade. And we know that different peoples in the world have different things to offer and they're different natural resources. But it's got to be done in a way that it doesn't transfer all sovereignty and all power to the largest corporations on earth. That's the bottom line. And the mechanisms, the adjudication mechanisms that are built into the proposal are all about letting corporations go in and undermine environmental protections, labor protections, social welfare protections in other people's countries. And so we've got to get people together to fight on that. We can build a coalition with some of the Republicans who are interested in the stripping of sovereignty away from the United States of America. So we've been able to make great coalitions with Republicans in Annapolis on criminal justice reform. I introduced the Second Chance Act with an extremely right-wing Republican, and we just gave 275,000 Marylanders the opportunity to shield nonviolent misdemeanor convictions starting tomorrow. So spread the word.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Charles, and my question is for Senator Raskin. If pollution is a global issue, and the trees are the lungs of the planet, what about reforestation? I haven't heard anybody talk about that today.
So reforestation is absolutely essential for air quality and to reduce the troubling trends we got in terms of asthma and lung disease, especially in urban areas, especially in minority communities. So this is deeply troubling, and forestation is something we've got to invest in. Here's one of the problems with climate change that we're dealing with. I knocked on a guy's door the other day in Wheaton, and he told me he works at the USFS. And I didn't know that acronym. I said, what's USFS? He said, it's U.S. Forest Service, but they're going to change the name to the U.S. Fire Service because we're spending 70% of our budget putting out fires today. We got 300,000 acres of wildfire in Alaska, 150,000 in California. California is combustible now. There's just no moisture there at all. So we've got to take this really seriously to turn it around. We need to invest in reforestation policy directly. We need to increase the budget of the U.S. Forest Service. And generally, we've got to solve the problem of climate change, which means we've got to break the addiction to the political money coming from big oil, big gas, and big coal.
Hi, this is for Kumar Barbie. I'm Julie Taddeo, and I'm asking this question on behalf of my coalition, Safe Grow Montgomery. So, last spring, your committee rejected a House bill sponsored by Sheila Hickson that would eliminate lawn pesticides on school grounds and playing fields where children are most exposed to them. Have you changed your views since then, and how would you protect children at the federal level from exposure to these toxic chemicals? And if for some reason you return to the House of Delegates, is this an issue that you would reconsider in a new light?
Let me start by saying, how many seconds do I have? 60 seconds. Let me begin by saying that we have a 4-year session, and this year we decided to focus on fracking and pollution of the Chesapeake Bay and microbeads and a myriad of issues. With respect to that issue and many other extremely important issues, I have task forces of legislators who are looking into the actual science of it. The reason that's important is simple. We have a Republican governor who will veto bills. I have to pass bills not with 71 votes, but with veto-proof majorities. And for that reason, I'm going to make sure that we have all the science lined up correctly so that when we proceed next year, we will put this governor in a position where he will have to sign the bills.
Making direct questions to more than one candidate. I don't know if they know that. Some people might want to do that. Maybe just remind them if that's the rule.
I think the rule is that up to 2 candidates. You can direct your question to up to 2 candidates. And just one more point. There might be more questions than we have time to get answered. Anybody who has a question that doesn't get answered, if you put it in this box at the end, we'll make sure that it gets to the candidate, and then we'll post the responses on the Progressive Neighbors website. Okay, next question.
I'd like to address this to Ana Gutierrez and also Will Jawando. As big moneyed interests push to develop the national parks and public lands, tribal areas, increasingly Native Americans are being pushed off their lands and their resources exploited. Many indigenous people in this country are aware of what is happening, but their voices are ignored or silenced. What can you do to help listen and leverage Native Americans' voices on the environment?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. I believe that I am unique in the representation of the underrepresented. And I believe that now is the time that we need to join together and make sure that voices that are never heard are heard in Congress. It is appalling to me to hear the disparaging words that are used to address Latinos, that we should not exist, that we need to get out of here. I think that those kind of racist, xenophobic basics of proposing federal policy, of proposing what this country stands for, are totally, totally unacceptable. I believe Native Americans need more voices of support. I consider myself a Native American. I'm of Mayan origin, and I stand strongly in support with my brothers and sisters.
Thank you. I implemented the rule and we did it. There we go. I agree with Anna on language. It's very important. One of the best trips and most life-changing trips I've ever taken in my life is when I was working at the White House and we went to stay on a reservation and visit the tribe. They are the Native Americans, right? The history of this country, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, and I think we need to understand it, is to exploit and take resources from people and marginalize people of color, whether it's from the first Americans to people of color through chattel slavery, Jim Crow, and now mass incarceration. That's our history. So we have to, one, understand that. Then the second thing is, what do we do about it? We need to elect leaders that can be bridge builders. I can talk to the kid in Long Branch who's worried about gun violence just as easy as I can talk to the senator in Congress or the congressman in Congress, because I've done both. And I think that's a big part of the problem. Who's at the table when the decisions are being made? Privatization, last thing I'll say. We need to fight against privatization. You mentioned that at the beginning of your question. You're seeing that whether it's workers in Baltimore, in cafeterias, or it's on Native American or public lands. We can't allow that because that hurts people and particularly hurts communities of color and underserved folks.
Thank you.